Oh, yeah, I kind of suggested.
A little slow.
Hello.
Tell me that you had her like work out.
Sent you an email.
Testing.
I don't know who you're, but I know somebody. So I gave you.
Very loud. It's the same.
Offer your color.
But I also kind of gave you some.
Test.
That's okay, I'm not the care. Yeah, you're like, no problem.
B.
Exactly. But y'all know what to do.
Yeah.
No, it's right there on the back.
Yeah, we're good. They should all be working now.
All right. Cool. All right. We call the meeting to order. Let's stand. We have Dan Wood of Crittenden County will lead us in our pledge, and Judge Michael Williams will lead us in our invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this blissful day and the people here that are leading our PeADD office and the counties that they are respective to, Lord. Please guide us and direct them in the very coming months ahead as our nation is so divided, Lord. And please be with us throughout this week and from where we fail you. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Thank you both. You have in your board packet the minutes from our last meeting. You will review those.
we approve.
You have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. All right. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Financial report, Lee Wilson.
Good afternoon, everyone. As of December the 31st, we should be at 50% of the overall budget. Our actual expenditures reflect 47.7% of budgeted amounts. Staff travel expenses have aligned with the budget. On the revenue side, 43% of the budgeted revenue has been accrued as of December the 31st, 2025. Mr. Chairman, if there are no additions, corrections, or questions, the financial report is submitted for approval.
Are there any questions? Not, I entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Moving to our fiscal year 25 audit, Jamie Peterson, Calhoun and Company.
Good afternoon, everyone. So this is the financial statement and compliance audit for fiscal year ended 2025. First things first, the thing that everybody wants to know, no findings, no question costs. The audit as a whole was a clean and unmodified report. The major programs that we tested for compliance for FY25 was the aging cluster. That includes Title III Part B, which are grants for supportive services and senior centers. Title III Part C, which is nutrition services, and then the nutrition services incentive program. Everything was fine with that program as well. And again, no findings of question costs there. In the PowerPoint, you will see, and you've also have it in your executive summary on the first page. It shows the revenue generated for FY 25 amounting to almost $29 million. 5,124,464 of the total revenue was due to federal grants. A little over 15 million was due to state grants. 7.9 million was other revenues, and the remaining 616,000 was composed of various revenue streams that individually made up less than 2% of the total. On the next page, you will see the revenue by program. So last year, a couple of the long-term services were included in with the aging reports. This year, you'll notice that they were broken out. So the aging grants by themselves was a little over 6 million. That was up from FY 24 about 243,000. Long-term services and support, which is the big red part, was $18,267,164. And that includes the VA and the CDO. That was actually up almost 6 million from FY 24. Then you have the workforce grant at 2.7 million. JFA or Joint Funding Administration was 461,000. And then the Disaster Resiliency Project right at 279,000. And the remaining 996,000 was comprised of other small grants and revenue that made up less than 3% individually. On the next one, you will see the expenses incurred for FY 25. They amounted to a little over 27 million. Almost 22 million of that was contracted services. 2.4 million of it was related to salaries. Another 1.2 was related to employee benefits. And the remaining almost 2 million was other direct costs, in-kind revenue or expenditures, and other minor expense categories. The change in net position for FY 25 increased by a little over 2 million. The PeADD portion of that was the majority of it. Only 8,000 of it was a decrease for Federal Housing Corporation. But of that $2 million increase, the majority of it was related to the Veterans Directed Services and the participant directed services. The net income from that one is a little over 1.3 million. The other increase was related to unrestricted local operations, about 129,000. And then local economic development, about 153,000. Now that increase was netted against a decrease where there was about 265,000 of bad debt that was written off in the RLF or the revolving loan fund. All right, and then you've got your net position breakdown, and this shows a trend over 3 years. As you will see, the top portion of it, the pink portion at the top, that is the unrestricted funds for the agency. It went from a little over 4 million in FY 24 to almost 5.6 million in FY 25. The green portion is the restricted, so that would be the RLF cares, and the IRP. And then the blue section is the net investment in capital assets, and then the negative portion is the portion that you have to book from the Kentucky retirement plan. And then on the last slide, we have the net liability associated with the retirement itself. So over the years, you can see how it's greatly fluctuated. Well, from FY 24 to FY 25, the portion that PeADD has to book actually decreased by about 340,000. The liability of the pension portion that had to be booked was $4,025,184. And the OPEB, which is the other post-employment benefit section, was actually an asset on the PeADD's books this year of $116,540. So, any questions on any of that? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will need to approve the audit. I need a motion.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Uh,
Any opposed? All right.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Mhm.
just for a second, I want to thank Jamie for being with us and her staff. They do excellent work. I always appreciate their work with us and their suggestions and everything that they help us with. But I also going to give my annual speech that I always do. Alicia's got a pretty good streak going with audits with 0 findings. And so we're very proud of that. Alicia and her team, if they would just stand up, please, all the finance team, please. Everyone in this room knows the strings that comes with state, federal dollars. So to be able to show that is a great thing, and it helps us going forward. As I always say, an audit like this for us is very important in that it makes sure our funding partners understand that we do it correctly, we do it efficiency. So hopefully they'll continue to fund us in the future. So I always want to say that. So in the theme of different state of the Commonwealths and state of the city addresses going on throughout the area, the state of PeADD is strong financially. So thank you all for your leadership on that, and thanks to all of our staff for all the work that they do as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
At this time, we'll have our federal and state reports. First up, Ms. Morgan Alvey with Senator McConnell's office.
Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, in terms of government funding, the next deadline is upon us, January 30th. The appropriations process, though, does seem to be moving, which is good. If you recall, the continuing resolution that reopened the government following the shutdown contained 3 of the annual 12 appropriations bills. That was Milcon VA, Ledge Branch, and Ag. Well, there is another small package of appropriations bills that have been put into a package of 3 that passed the House last week and will be on the Senate floor this week. The first in a series of procedural votes will happen later this afternoon. And when that final vote could be taken is still up in the air, but this package will contain CJS, which is Commerce, Justice, Science, and as well as Interior, and the third one, Austin, I'm blanking. Tell me what's the third one?
Energy and water.
Energy and water, yes, which is one of the most important ones, actually, especially for up in the Paducah area with the Paducah Gaseous Diffusion Plant cleanup. So those 3 will be in this next package that, like I said, whenever the Senate takes that final vote, I'm sure that there will be some announcements. So that would take care of 6 of the annual 12, and I know there's some chatter today about another package of 2 beginning in the House this week. So again, we're moving on some of these bills, but whether, we're able to get all of them passed by the 30th or some other sort of CR is needed, at least on some, is still kind of up in the air. But if any of you have any questions on any particular provision or any particular one of these annual bills, don't hesitate to let me know. And of course, as always, if there's anything we can be of assistance with, don't hesitate to ask, including grant support letters. I know there's several open programs out there right now in terms of direct competitive federal grants. Happy to take a look at those on any support letter requests. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. Next, we have Austin Weatherington with Congressman Comer's office.
Thank you all. It's good to be back with you all for the new year. Hope you all had a happy new year. For the purpose of the meeting, can we just put Morgan and I's name together for the minutes? My report is almost the exact same. I'm glad. I depend on Morgan a lot in these meetings and she always comes through. So I was glad that I could come through for her for a little bit. But as Morgan said, the House and the Senate are back in session. The House did pass the budget bill, which now moves to the Senate, and those were, of course, CJS, Energy and Water, Development, and Interior and Environment. In the interior bill especially, there was some language and some priorities for the PeADD region. A couple just wanted to highlight. One, of course, was Congressman Comer's secured language that is for the AMLR program that allows the coalfield counties to become eligible for AMLR grants through the state to reclaim abandoned mine lands and spur new economic development. So appreciate Judge Whitfield's advocacy on this issue. I know this is very important for those regions. So we were glad to see that included in there. And then, of course, later today, to our friends in the media, we'll be sending you all some press releases, but we do have 6 community project funding requests from this region that were also included in the bill that, like I said, Congressman Comer will be announcing later today. So just wanted to highlight those. But always, if we can be helpful, just let us know. We're glad to provide letters of support. Or if you have constituents that are needing some constituent service issues, don't ever hesitate to reach out. But again, just appreciate the PeADD staff and working with you all on securing these priorities for this region. Thank you all.
Thank you, Austin. Next, we have Mr. Alex Caudill with Governor Beshear's office.
Judge, Happy New Year, everyone. Hope we had a good holiday season. The governor had his annual State of the Commonwealth address last week, and it was his final budget address as well, which is hard to believe, but it was a great time, and you can check out the governor's budget proposal on the state budget director's website. That is posted out there for you to peruse and take a look at. Do have a few updates on some of our funding programs on the state side and some of the federal grants that come through the state. From the Department of Rural Roads and Municipal Aid, the TAP projects, that application is closing on the 19th of this month. I know some of you all are looking at those. The next bridge cycle for our county city bridge improvement program closes on February 13th. We've had quite a few approved here in the PeADD, especially in Crichton County. Congratulations, Judge Duke, and all those bridges you've gotten up for there. We'd love to see our county officials at our next DLG County Budget Workshop. We saved the best for last this year, Jason, at the PeADD. That'll be on March 4th. It'll be the final budget workshop this session, and that'll be Wednesday, March 4th here at the PeADD from 9 to noon. So any of our county officials, we'd love for you all to join us for that and come and meet with the DLG staff and learn all you can about your county budgets for the new fiscal year as it comes up. Since we last met, the governor was in the area for the 4th anniversary of the tornadoes. He visited Mayfield and then he's in Princeton as well, dedicating some more new homes there. Over 250 new homes have been built with the Team West Kentucky Tornado Relief Fund, which we're very proud of. And then, of course, the governor was right here in Hopkinsville for the Toyota Bashuku grand opening, which is a wonderful announcement for the entire region. So we do have a couple other programs for parks, land and water conservation fund, and recreational trails. Those grant applications cycle is open now through May 31st for either of those, if y'all are interested. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions on those or any of our other programs. But other than that, I think that's all I have, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Next, we have our staff reports, Community Economic Development, Amy Pro and John Jones.
Alex, you put me in this situation much like Morgan and Austin. I could have just let you give my report. If you all would refer to your packet, there are a couple of pages there for funding announcements. Just to echo what Alex said, several of these are open. We are entering what we call in the office grant season. So it's the season. to be merry. I just want to bring your all's attention. It should be 2 pages front and back, but there are several of those that I want to bring to your attention immediately as those funding opportunities, their deadlines will be upon us before we can blink. For tire and recycling related programs, the Crumb Rubber Grant, the Recycling and Household Hazardous Waste Grant Program, and then the Rubber Modified Asphalt Programs. All of these are through the Energy and Environment Cabinet. Most of those support recycling activities within your counties, as well as using those recycled products to put in things such as crumb rubber in your parks and things of that nature. The crumb rubber and recycling and household hazardous waste grant programs both do require 25% match. In-kind contributions can be counted as match for that program. On the rubber modified asphalt program, that one does not require a cash match, but however, whatever the length of the rubber modified asphalt that you propose, you must provide the same length in regular paving for that program. Those applications again will be due in the April and May timeframes. Like I said, at the end of this first quarter, that will be upon us before we can turn around. The Kentucky 911 Services Board Grant Program. This program supports next generation 911 upgrades, including mapping and then PSAP equipment support. This program does not require a match, but the projects must align with the state NG 911 roadmap. So planning and coordination are key there. This is an important opportunity for your PSAPs and your 911 centers to upgrade those equipment needs that you have there in those offices as those requirements change. And then lastly, on the first page, the Law Enforcement Protection Program. That in the past, that has been a program that they received applications on an annual basis, and now they have put a deadline on that program. Those applications will be due on March the 31st. And again, that program is designed for public safety equipment like body armor, firearms, and body worn cameras. There's no match required on that program, but they do prioritize that body armor first. If you flip over to the second page, the 2 programs that Alex mentioned, the Land and Water Conservation Fund and the Recreational Trails Program, those are 2 of our primary sources of funding for recreation related projects. The Land and Water Conservation Fund requires a 50-50 match with awards ranging from $25,000 to $1 million. That is one fund that match can be applied for through the grant program. As long as those state dollars are still available, we can tap into those to provide that match for you all. Similarly, with the Recreational Trails Program, that's a 20% match for projects for trail development, maintenance, and trail extensions. That match can also come from the grant program as well, but the cap on that program is $250,000. There are some other programs that will open up later on in the year, but I did want to provide those to you all so you can be thinking about the projects that you may have in the pipeline that you want to apply for funding for, so we can get those projects in the development phase and be working on the upfront materials that we may need for those projects. Behind that, you will find the Intergovernmental Review Report for the month. We have a couple of projects over in Todd County that are applying for those Transportation Alternatives Program or TAP funds. If you have any comments on those 2 projects, please get with myself or Jared and we'll pass those comments along to the state. Again, there's a flyer in behind that regarding the county budget workshops. As Alex mentioned, our budget workshop here in the Penny Row will be on March the 4th here in this room from 9 until noon on that day. And so now I'd like to ask Brian Jones to come up and present you all a loan proposal that we've received.
Good afternoon. Happy New Year to everyone. We have another loan from our revolving loan fund that is ready for approval. You can find that loan summary and information in your packet. I'll attempt to pronounce his name correctly, Joseph Burar and B3 Beverage LLC out of Pennsylvania is purchasing all membership interest of Steelworks LLC, which is Casey Jones Distillery, including brand, equipment inventory, real estate on Whitty Lane, and assumption of all existing debt. And you can see the total overall purchase amount of that project in the summary there as well. There's also should be an attachment that gives you a history of B3 Beverage if you'd like to read that about all their subsidiaries. Loan is being underwritten and approved by Planners Bank. The PeADD portion is a co-first mortgage with Planners on the property located at 2813 Whitty Lane in Christian County. And Mr. Chairman, we are seeking approval for the lending of $194,288.70, which is a payoff of a loan we currently have for that property with PeADD to pay that off and execute a new note going forward for the new buyer.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, Brian. Right. Moving to Health and Family Services, Ms. Amanda Stokes.
Good afternoon, everyone. In November and December, we put out our comprehensive needs assessment survey across the region. Those surveys were hand-delivered, mailed, and also made available on our PeADD website. They were distributed to over 1,700 individuals. With that process, we collected information such as demographics, physical health, mental health, caregiver services, access to services, nutrition, and priorities and focus areas for the region. We're very appreciative of everyone that took their time to complete those surveys, as we have a return rate of 49% on those surveys. That's a wonderful return rate. We usually have a goal of about 35%. So again, we're very appreciative of everyone involved in that. We're currently compiling that data for the region, but in that process, we will also be breaking it apart by county and making that information available to anyone else that would like to see that survey data. In conjunction with that needs assessment survey, we are also working on our FY 27 through 29 area plan. This is a federal requirement for any services associated with the Older Americans Act. It creates a blueprint for us in our region for planning, development, delivery, and evaluation of those Older American Act services. The draft area plan will be released later this month on our website, and it'll be an opportunity in that review process to offer your input. We'll also be scheduling a public hearing and making everyone aware of that at the beginning of February. Following all that input, we will finalize a version and present that to the PeADD board in February for approval. Lastly, we are working on our request for proposals for fiscal year 27 through 29. This will include one procurement process for all of our Older Americans Act services that are federally funded, as well as all of our state-funded services. We've had 2 meetings thus far with our RFP committee. That was on December the 10th and January the 7th. During those meetings, we've discussed a broad variety of topics, including an overview of the programs and services, procurement history, service groups, budgets, and proposed changes to that procurement packet. Tentatively, we are scheduled to release that procurement packet at late February, following legal review and review by the Department for Aging and Independent Living. Once all those proposals are reviewed and scored that we receive, we will be making a recommendation to the PeADD board for approval in May of 2026, and those will be effective July 1st. Also in your packet, I would like to bring your attention to the November 2025 Health and Family Services Report. It's just an overview of all the services, some numbers. It's also a breakdown in there for you by county of services and clients receiving those, as well as our waiting list for each county across the region for our services.
Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you, Amanda. Next, we have Ms. Sheila Clark and Ms. Becky Wells for the West Kentucky Workforce Board report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to refer back to some of the budget issues and let you all know that we didn't have any major changes with our allocations. We just had a few minor adjustments in our allocations for this year. We did see the ending of our drug court program that we were helping with services. So we no longer have that on our list. And then our trade program is being changed some, and we won't see that as a separate category in the future. So we end up with 5.3 million in our total funds that we have in our service budget with our career centers and putting people into training, and our direct services there is about 3.8 million. And then our operating budget of 1.4 million. And looking at that, we did receive an allocation and a funding grant from the Delta Regional Authority and the CDAP program of $500,000. And we were also able to take advantage of the funds to match that program and the grant program. And we certainly welcome that opportunity to work with the Delta Regional Authority on that. And we appreciate Amy's help, the PeADD's help, and the support of the governor's office with that. We're hoping that we will be on the funding list for putting young Kentuckians to work. And Becky Wells is going to talk about that for you in just a minute. Becky, you want to come on up while I'm finishing up? And the Delta Regional Authority, we're going to use those funds for putting people into training, whether that training is at any of our community colleges or other short-term training there. And we're hoping to serve individuals because we haven't had enough money in our adult program to serve as many as we'd like. So we still have a need there for that. And talking about success, putting young Kentuckians to work has been very much of a success. And Becky's going to tell you about that.
Thank you. I'll draw your attention to the pages in your packet. We are in the last 6 months of this 2-year funding cycle. As you'll remember, putting young Kentuckians to work is strictly Kentucky money. Kentucky General Assembly provided this funding. We at West Kentucky Workforce Board are using it for 18 to 24-year-olds, putting them in short-term training in high-demand sectors, on-the-job training, work-based learning experiences, and putting them to work. That's why it was created, and that's what we're doing. The 2-year goal for West Kentucky Workforce Board was 116 participants. To date, we have 144, and I know of at least 5 in my email right now. We will serve as long as we have the funding. So please go ahead and send people. If you have participants, if you have businesses, if you as a government are hiring, give these 18 to 24-year-olds an opportunity if you can. Melissa will, you all can read those. We have a video that was compiled. It contains highlights from 3 workforce areas. West Kentucky was included. This was presented in November to update the Interim Joint Committee on Economic Development and Workforce Investment in Frankfort. The voice you will hear first is from youth provider Tammy Hardy at Madisonville Community College. And the young lady in the scrubs on the top left is Elizabeth Beanie. She is a participant of ours, of yours. She received her training and credential through putting young Kentuckians to work. her OJT came through the youth program. So with this braided funding, we were able to help her. And she is now on her path. She is there. Without the two fundings, this just wouldn't have been possible. You will also hear from Tammy Hardy. You'll see her on the screen as well. And the partnership with the employer where Elizabeth is now, Concord Health Systems, Ridgeway Terrace Facility. In the video, Jennifer Shelby, who is their HR director, speaks about the importance of partnering with West Kentucky Workforce Board for this. Thanks. Putting young Kentuckians to work and the youth program changed her life. And she will tell you in a heartbeat how much. This week, we have someone to highlight this week who is probably one of the most grateful people I have ever heard in my life. This is Xavier, who has just returned from his onboarding training for his new position at IMI. This was only made possible because he received the CDL training through PYKW and the OJT he is getting through youth funding through our provider, Hopkinsville Community College. The difference that this funding And this program has made in his life the difference between he and his daughter having a future that looks very positive now. He is starting at 25.76 an hour. He is ecstatic. He is happy to work. He is happy to do whatever it takes, but he thanks you. We do encourage you to talk with your legislators. We do hope that they will be able to provide this funding and continue this program, but we will use it until the very last dollar. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Becky. Moving to new business, monthly code of ethics report. There are no issues to report. And now our financial report and budget amendments, Lee Wilson.
Good afternoon again. The executive committee met on December the 16th to review the FY 26 modified budget. Revisions were made to align revenues with actual allocations received to reflect funding awarded after the original budget adoption and to account for increased client volume in both the Veterans Directed Care Program and the Home Community-Based Waiver Program. As a result of these adjustments, the total budget increased by approximately 16.3 million, consisting of 14.1 million in service-related revenues and 2.2 million in operating revenues. This brings the total budgeted revenues to 53.7 million, with 43.8 million in services and 9.9 million in operating revenues. Personnel expenditures increased by $210,416 to reflect retirement-related position transitions, including the Director of Health and Family Services and Chief Financial Officer, as well as additional staffing and salary adjustments necessary to support the continued growth in the Veterans Directed Care Program. Total operating and program expenditures increased by 14.5 million, driven primarily by growth in the direct service delivery. Contractual service expenses increased by 14.3 million, reflecting increased payments associated with higher VDC client participation and services provided to veterans. Additional adjustments include a $150,000 increase in direct program expense to support expanded VDC software needs, an $8,000 increase in software maintenance and IT related expenses due to additional services covered under the agency's IT contract, and a $3,000 increase in miscellaneous expenses to account for inflationary pressures and additional sponsorship-related costs. With these changes, the total budgeted expenditure for FY 2026 are $50,119,626. The executive committee recommends approval of the modified budget as presented.
Right. Are there any questions?
Read that again one more time.
Yeah.
Did Mayor Cotton's at Mar-a-Lago? I don't know if you saw it on there. So
If Judge Executive Williams wants to come up and walk us through those numbers again.
there, yeah, there he is. See? All right. Any questions? All right. Need a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All right. Is there a second? All right. All those in favor of these budget amendments, say aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you. Now we'll turn it over to Jason Vincent, our Executive Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Happy New Year, everyone. I do want to say a word of appreciation to our executive committee members on our budget. They met back in December, spent a little time with us to go over those amendments. So I appreciate them and taking time out of their busy schedule right before Christmas to do that. A couple of individuals I do want to introduce to you. One is a new staff member, Aileen Boucher. Aileen, I think, yeah, I see you back there. Aileen, if you don't mind to stand up. Aileen is a new staff accountant for us, so y'all would welcome her. Good to have her with us. And then somebody, I guess, a reintroduction is the best way to do that, Adam. We do have a new designee for the mayor of City of Marion, and that is Adam Leffert, who is the city administrator. Adam rejoins us in this position. So welcome, Adam. At your seat, you will find a couple of items related to our conflict of interest and code of policy or code of ethics policy. Each year, we require, or it is required by our board members to review that policy and then to complete the forms that you have at your spot. We need every board member to do that, please. The acknowledgement forms. If you don't have, please, let me back up. If you would try to do that today, before you leave and place them in the box back there by Melissa, so we can go ahead and get those collected. If you don't get that turned in, Melissa will be sending a bunch of emails and calling. So I think it'd be easier if you would just, go ahead and get those completed today. If you have any questions about those, feel free to see me or Melissa afterwards. Also in your packet, you will find a flyer about the upcoming ad day in Frankfort, which will be on Thursday, February the 12th. We know that a lot of you all will already be in Frankfort on that day for other various events, but we would ask that if you are meeting with your legislators, to please just briefly talk about the area development districts and the support that they provide you all on your daily basis. But we would also like to, if you are up there that day, to invite you to a lunch, probably at our next meeting, which will happen just before, at our next board meeting that will happen just before February the 12th. I'll have some lunch tickets available, so those of you all that are going can join us for lunch in the Capitol Annex cafeteria that day. I know that the CAECO legislative reception, I believe, is the night before. And then I think West Kentucky Thank You Night is that Thursday night, the 12th as well. So a lot going on. And by the way, PeADD is a sponsor again of West Kentucky Thank You Night. Always happy to do that. So hopefully you can be there with us. If you need a hotel room, I think Melissa has secured a few rooms at the Hampton Inn there in Frankfort. So if you need a hotel room for the night of the 11th, I believe, let Melissa know and we can assign that to you. I also want to let you know, Mayor Cotton, he's back up on, well, he's not back up on the screen, but he is on virtually. Some of you all may have read a story back at the end of the year about a certain judge executive out east that had to abruptly resign. Well, that judge executive just happened to be the chair of the Kentucky Council of Area Development Districts. Well, vice chair of the Kentucky Council of Area Development Districts was Kevin Cotton. So Kevin Cotton has, Mayor Cotton has now assumed the role of the chair of the Kentucky Council of ADS, and will be leading the meeting at our February as part of the ad day. So thank you, Mayor Cotton.
A virtual position?
He'll try to make it a virtual position, but it is not a virtual position. But anyways, we look forward to having him in that role and lead our state network. On that same note, in your packet, you will find the legislative priorities for the area development districts. Again, if you are in Frankfort on the ad day or any other day for the upcoming several months that the session's taking place, feel free, please, and talk to them about the ad priorities. I'm not going to go through all these today, but I do want to mention just one of these because I know it's something we've been talking about here for the last several months, and that's the senior nutrition program. I had told you all a couple of months that we were going to be making a couple of asks to the legislature regarding the senior meal program, and you'll see down here at the bottom of the front of that page that we are requesting 20 million annually to support that program. What that does is get us to where to the level of spending that we are right now. And that's what we are asking for. The good news is that the governor in his budget put a very similar number into his budget for the meals. So you've got the governor's budget and our recommendation really on the same page here. So that I think that will help going forward. We've already had a number of conversations with Chairman Jason Petrie on A&R, and I believe we're in fairly good shape as we move forward. But that doesn't mean we don't need to keep asking them and making sure they understand the need here. The other piece that we supplied them with, and this is just down in the narrative portion under the senior nutrition program, is that if the legislature happens to decide we want to provide this program for anybody that's out there on the wait list that the area development districts are all maintaining, then we would need about $38.3 million for each year going forward. So they're going to have to make a decision. Do they want to keep it where it is now, or do they want to look at providing additional funding that would allow the programs to grow? But I did want to point that out to you and know that that is one of our priorities. If you are reading through this and have any questions about that, please let me know, and I'll be happy to go over any of those with you. Also,
Question real quick.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that's a total number across the state of Kentucky. And so I'm curious, do we have it broken down by ad district? So when we're.
we do have that number. I don't have it sitting right here in front of me. Hayla, do you remember just off the top of your mind what that number was for our? We can get that for you.
It just would, again, the more we narrow it to.
Sure, I completely.
Area where they represent, the better off we are.
I completely agree with you. We'll get that number out to our board. Yes, but that is that, and in fact, that 20 million is the state funded piece. It also includes, there's a federal portion that is also included in the total number. I think the total amount that it costs to provide the meals at the current level is about 33 million each year. And again, that includes the 20 million from the state and then about 13 million from the federal government. So we'll get you that number. Great question. The other thing I wanted to just for informational purposes, one of the reasons why your packet is so thick today is that for the last couple of years, we have been doing some impact reports for every legislator across the state. It just shows sort of what's happening in those legislators' district as it pertains to the area development district. So I just wanted you to see that in case you're in a legislator's office and see that sitting on their desk, that is being sent to them, and we're going to be sharing it on our social media. Just wanted you all to see what was being handed out. A couple of other things I want to draw your attention to. Some are in your packet, some are laying at your locations or spread across the table. One thing that is not immediately, every one of you all should have received an email from me regarding this, but immediately following our board meeting, you notice the decorations on the table, the balloon arch. This is not for you all. Immediately following this meeting, we will be having a retirement reception for Jill Collins, who was our Director of Health and Family Services. I'm sure if she's not already here, she'll be here in just a moment. But anyways, hopefully if you all can stay and wish her well. It's not going to be anything formal. We're not going to have any speaking opportunities, but if you want to say something to her, she'll be here shortly, and we'll do that as soon as we finish up here. So hopefully you all can stay around. In your packet, you will find a memo. Looks like this. This is regarding a vehicle that we are making available to local units of government. This is a 2020 Ford Explorer. We are accepting bids through 4:30 p.m. on January the 30th. And the minimum bid on this vehicle is $13,000. The vehicle is parked just on the other side of the building. If you want to ever come look at it or drive it, feel free to reach out to Alicia or myself. You can come by and look at that and take it for a spin. But bids due on January the 30th for that. What's that? You'll take it for a spin?
I'll take you up on that.
I got you. Certain number of miles there, Mr. Treasurer. Another thing I wanted to bring your attention, and you should have received an email from me regarding that, is a TVA 101 session that's taking place here in this room on January the 21st, next week. This is an opportunity. Josh Tubbs, I think most of you all know who Josh is and his TBA team. Just want to talk, just reconnect with our local officials throughout the Pennyroyal region, especially those that fall in that TBA footprint. But I wanted to hand it out to everybody here today because they're inviting even those that don't fall in the TBA footprint. If you are interested in knowing more about TBA, I mean, TBA has a huge impact on our entire region, whether you fall in their service area or not. So if you're interested, there is a registration link for that. Again, I know there's a lot of things going on that day in Frankfurt as well. However, if you're available and you would like to learn more about TBA, sign up for that. I know they'd be interested and love to have you with them. Also, laying at your spot, I'm just full of information today. And I shared this with you before, but the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security is hosting a cybersecurity workshop here at our office this week, the 15th, January the 15th at 1 o'clock here in this room. So if you wouldn't mind, I sent you an email about it, all the mayors and judges, just sort of a reminder about that this morning. If you would share that with your folks that you feel like might be interested. Had to make my own little adjustment to the. Yeah, you're on your own over there, but I tried to make a little adjustment there for you.
As usual.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I believe Dr. Kelly, Dr. Young, thank you all for being with us. I always appreciate you all joining us from our community colleges. And when you're here, I just always want to say, is there anything you want to update the group on? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I always enjoy having you with us. Anything legislatively we need to be helping you with?
No, we're just continuing through KCPCS task for support in the performance funding model. If you don't know, that is how we are now funded as community colleges. So we're asking for continuing support to look at that and continuing with our mission to do training for workforce development across the state. So all 16 colleges are coming together with a legislative agenda that follows those things.
Thank you. And again, I always appreciate y'all being here with us. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have unless there's any other questions.
Are there any other questions, concerns, comments? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Second, all those in favor may leave. Those that oppose may stay.
Don't leave yet.
Oh, yeah, stay for the reception.
Thank you all.
Well, she's